Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call. We have Temple, Everson, Nath by Zoom. So we have a quorum.
And I will be watching the Zoom meeting here to see. Emma was planning on joining us. She said that she would join us.
So Emma should be coming. Sharks will not, I don't believe. And excused is Diana Goldhammer. All right. So as far as the agenda, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion about the agenda or any additions to the agenda? Okay. All in favor of, do we need to call a vote? Yeah, in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Second? I'll second. Can I second?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay. Any discussion or additions or deletions of the minutes or corrections? All right. All in favor of approving the minutes? Say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right. Director's report. Kevin?
Okay. And just to let you know, Emma did join us. So,
Thought I heard her.
yeah. We have the my written report. So just an update on staffing. On Friday, we did have an interview. We interviewed one candidate, and he was good. He was a very good candidate, and we made the offer. And he accepted, and he'll be starting the week of President's Day.
Okay.
So,
Susan said she can join by Zoom if you can connect her somehow. Do you have her email or whatever?
okay, just a minute. Let me.
I do if you don't.
I do. Let me just forward this. I'll send it to her. Okay, so I just sent that to her, so I'll be watching for her.
Okay, I just told her.
And I would like to encourage board members to contact our state legislators about maintaining the state library and restoring, funding for the state library that was proposed in Governor Noem's budget. Susan Sharks. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
So, and then there'll be more, we can talk more about strategic planning during the committee reports. And then, so any questions on my report? We also have reports from Max and Jean. Jean is here today. So, Max continues to be busy. One thing I'll point out in our funding request section, Max is asking for a fairly small amount for establishing a seed library, so that we could have a seed lending library like some other libraries. I know Yankton offers that. He's also planning on beginning doing some Dungeons and Dragons programming next month, and he also has a small funding request for some supplies for that. And then he has been to the high school for a couple of sessions. So that was his report. Any questions on Max's report? Okay, and then we have Jean's report, and she's been busy as well. And she's here. Anything you want to highlight, Jean?
Just that we had
Oh,
a very successful, whoops. Is that better? Got it. All right, now, can you hear me? We had the Creativity Day on last Saturday, the January 25th, and we had very, very strong attendance. I estimated 180, 185. Marisa Shannon from the high school was there, and she thought we were well over 200. But in any case, there were lots and lots of kids and parents and grandparents, and kids were creating, and it was a great success. Several parents and grandparents made a point of coming over to me and thanking me and thanking the library. So I just want to pass that on to you as board members, and I also want to thank the staff who aren't here that really kept things going in the main part of the library. One of the staff members said that there were at least 12 new families or 12 families that got new library cards. And I think, ultimately this is one of the successes of the program. It's not just to have the program, but to see how we can continue to reach into the community. And many of the families I knew, but there were also many children that I didn't know either, and that was exciting. And then I did tell them that this year's summer reading program is Color Our World, which has an emphasis on art, and people were very excited about that.
200 people in the library seems like a lot.
Yeah, probably disobeyed fire code.
Well,
Nah.
and for the gate count for Saturday, I mean, it was over 300, which, for a Saturday is amazing. Well, for any day is amazing, but, so that was really good. The other thing that I will, just point out, then usage, does anybody have any questions about the table usage? If not, I'm going to go to the graph report, and I just want to give kudos to the Mitchell area library users. Mitchell is reading more. If you look there at our circulation numbers, 2023 and the big increase to 2024, we had 116,769 circs in 2023 and 150,141 circs in 2024. Now, a big contribution as to that large increase, was sharing our digital collection with the rest of the state. Our overdrive circulation, more than doubled, but our physical collection also increased 20% from like 85,000 something to over 102,000 checkouts. So I think that's really great too.
Kevin?
Yes.
I think that is the kind of information that the council needs to be aware of, because that's really impressive when you see that dramatic increase in circulation. So I don't know, when you do your monthly I feel like it'd be something that, it's one thing to see it in print, but it's another thing when we have you come in person and just kind of give us an update. So
Okay.
that's just my 2 cents worth.
I can come to the next meeting and just for public comment, public input,
Yeah.
Share that. So,
Yeah, that's impressive.
I mean, a 20% increase in physical circulation is
huge.
amazing, but, I mean, digital has been, going up, but people are still reading print books too.
Yeah.
Our traffic numbers have been good, in 2024, most months were over 4,000 people coming in per month. I mean, a couple of months, like November, was just under 4,000. And, I mean, any questions about any of the other graphs? As I'm kind of scrolling through them. So that's the director's report.
All right, thank you, Kevin and Jean. Can I have a motion to approve the director's report?
I so move.
And a second? All in favor of approving the director's report, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, it is approved. Financial report and approval of bills.
Okay, I
Back to
don't
you,
have any
Kevin.
bills to submit, but,
Woo-hoo.
I mean, you've already, approved some of the spending. But here are the bank statements for November and December for the board account. Increased in the end of November, and then at the end of December, it also increased. And then here is, I think what I'll do is, unless you have a question about the November and December individual month, kind of profit and loss from the board account, I'll just go through a little bit the full year for 2024, that the total income for the board went up about $4,500 in 2024 over the previous year. And expenses were about $2,500 higher than the year before, and the net income was about 12,100-ish, 200-ish more than the 100 more than the year before. So any questions on that? And then here is almost where we ended up for the year for our budget in the city. Although, Susan, do you know, I think all of the bills for 2024 now have been approved by the city council. So, I mean, they all should be in here. So this is pretty much where we ended up. So for kind of the, current expenses, we were kind of right at and a little bit more than what was budgeted. Some of that was for the extra repair and maintenance costs. Our salary account had a good amount left over because of the group insurance savings that all departments experienced. And then for capital outlay, we had about 3560 remaining that we didn't get spent. We had about $2,500 left in our book budget, which was actually way less than I expected because, with Zach leaving and having about a month and a half where we weren't having someone select as many adult books, I was doing some of that, but along with other things, Max came in and did some good spending in the last couple of months. So any questions about any of the financial reports?
Kevin, I don't know if this is the time to talk about it, but we had a discussion about the digital sign on Sanborn and your conversation with Stephanie. Are you going to talk about that later?
I can talk about that now with the question.
I know that she had said that there was, that you had mentioned that the board could give money and that there was some other money that you could access. Part of it was from that insurance vacation. Can you talk a little bit about that, and is that something we can move forward with?
Yes. Department heads have been requested to submit supplemental budget requests for 2025 and submit those to Stephanie Elwine by Friday of this week. And so I've been working on putting that together, supplementing our 2025 budget with $35,000 from the group insurance line left over from 2024. And, the board has agreed in principle that then the board would match that too and pay half of, we have to get more firmer quotes on the sign. But so I'll be submitting that supplemental request to Stephanie and this week, and I don't think that that'll be on next Monday's City Council agenda, but she's going to be working, like at all of those and seeing where everything ends up. So I'll be
Are we still looking at like about 70,000?
Well, yeah, that's the quote that I got. The quote was for less than that, but then with just installation and any concrete work or whatever. So yes, Susan, that's we're moving forward on the paperwork for that.
Great news, thanks.
So hopefully then that will get approved by the City Council, and I can start getting firm quotes on that for this year. Any other questions? Nope. So that's financial reports.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Can I have a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll move.
I'll second it.
Second.
Or Emma.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, passes. So, business items, action to approve funding requests.
Okay.
So this-
We have a number of funding requests that we're bringing forward for this year. January seems to be when we request the most amount of funding, because we bring our annual summer reading programming requests for approval. And then, as I said, Max has also included a few smaller items like that tie-dye, the supplies for a tie-dye program, building the seed library, and Dungeon and Dragon supplies. So I'll kind of go through them. The first one comes from me, and funding to request to purchase a replacement iPad and case for our point of sale system. We implemented that system a couple of years ago, and we used an existing older iPad. It's a 5th generation iPad, and the current iPad is the 10th generation, and supposedly there may be an 11th generation coming out later this spring. But the 5th generation iPad, for a year or so, we haven't been able to, well, there haven't been, or for a number of months at least, there haven't been any updates to the operating system. And Apple says it's at end of life. And we have lately been having some issues where the receipt printer gets lost and doesn't get recognized. And so then we have to futz with it to get it going again. So I'm requesting to replace that so we can have up the current operating system for iPads and hopefully not have the problems with the printer that we have been experiencing. We have requests for Bookopoly prizes for our winter reading, Bookopoly, winter reading program for both adult and teen, and then further down for the children as well, the adult and teen. This year, instead of having a separate one for adult and a separate request for teens, Max is kind of combining those two into one request for 1855, and Jean is requesting 1,300 for children. And then let me go over the tie-dye supplies. Max is going to have a tie-dye program that is actually kind of a follow-up to a program that Zach North had planned for last summer but just never got it. It didn't happen. And so those are the supplies, for that, buying some T-shirts for the tie-dye program and other supplies for that. The seed library, Max has gotten a number of donations of seeds from seed companies, but there are some seeds that we haven't gotten that he would like to have in the library, and so purchasing some seeds as well as supplies like baggies, so that we're not going to give out an entire packet of seeds to people, but then we can give seeds to people in smaller amounts than what comes in the packaging. And his Dungeons and Dragons program, small request of $75 is for like some dice, Dungeons and Dragons dice, specific to Dungeons and Dragon, like a tray that the dice, you roll the dice in, some things like that. Those are all detailed in the requests. And then Jean Patrick is requesting $1,300 for Bookopoly prizes, which is, I think, a bit more than last year, but we've already handed out significantly more game boards, but Bookopoly junior boards for children this year than we did last year. So we're expecting, more game boards turned in, which means then more prizes. And then the summer reading program for both, again, adult teen and for children's are there. And our children's summer reading program is always our largest request because it's the largest program we do throughout the year. And, Jean schedules a number of performers and, something every week and oftentimes multiple times a week. And so those are all detailed. And so I guess I'll open it up for questions. If you have any questions about a specific program.
Yeah, I was just curious how you got an iPad for $400. That's amazing.
Well, and the iPad's actually $300. Currently,
That's amazing.
it's not an iPad Air or an iPad Pro. It's the most basic iPad, but currently on Amazon you can get them for $300, $299.
That's great. Yeah,
and
including your point of sale system. That's great.
Yeah. So, there are, like for the Bookopoly, Max has, he's planning on doing travel mugs this year, and then some additional prizes, and doing some Mitchell Buck drawings like we've done in the past for people who complete everything, and they would go in for a drawing for a Mitchell Buck's gift card. And some of that will be for adult, and some will be for teens. Teen summer reading, supplies, prizes, and then events. He has one event already scheduled that we actually had these performers a couple of years ago, and they are a South Dakota Arts Council performers, and so South Dakota Arts Council will be paying for half of the fee, and then the $300 would pay for the other event. And then a lot of the other programming that he's planning, like for teens, will be take and makes, and then prices for that. There are the details of the supplies for the tie-dye program. And then the seed library, the narratives there. And again, as I said, he's gotten a number of donations from seed companies of seeds, but he would like to spend about $100 on additional seeds, and then $250 on supplies for handing out things and keeping track of what we have. And then the Dungeons and Dragons supplies like dice trays, storage bags, that type of thing for the Dungeons and Dragons program. And then for children's Bookopoly prizes, Jean has that itemized. When we first started Bookopoly, we got vinyl, and we used our Cricut to cut out the little Monopoly houses, that people. Then we used that for all ages, but after the first year was the only year we did that with adults and teens, and we decided adults and teens don't need stickers, but kids love stickers. And so Jean has kept going with the little house stickers that they.
The housing shortage.
And then prizes for participants for the children's participants in paperback books, Oriental Trading Company. She'll get a number of items from there. And again, cupcakes from Crazy About Cupcakes, and then some cash drawings as well.
And with that, often we use leftovers from the previous year's summer reading program to supply the paperback books, but we had such strong participation last summer that our stock isn't as deep as it had been, so that's why we need to get more. And then also, I just wanted to mention that Wendy's donated, I believe, 125 coupons for Frosties. So for kids who finish the boards, they'll also receive that.
And then for summer reading, children's summer reading program, Jean has her same categories, programs, presentations, and she's probably the biggest, one of the biggest expenses for a program. Star Chief Eagle, she plans to bring, Star Chief Eagle hoop dancer back for 2 performances, and then also coordinating or collaborating with Abbott House, so that Star Chief Eagle would do a performance in the morning, and then in the afternoon go over to the Abbott House would have her there, and then do another evening performance. And so that is probably around, you said 1,000?
I've been emailing her back and forth with her this week, and she's one of the best in the nation, and her prices continue to go up too. So it's a matter of finding the date And certain dates would be less expensive if there are other people in the area that are also using her. So at the very, very minimum, it would be 800, and that would be if we would only have an evening one, and then it could be as high as 1,300 or 1,400. And again, a lot of it depends on dates. So if we choose to have her, we can make it happen, but it will cost a lot. The other option is to say, hey, Star, we love having you, but we're going to wait until next year. So it's up to you, and I respect your decision either way.
I guess I'll just say, sorry, that when the last time we had Star Chief Eagle, she was very well received.
All ages.
People were saying, oh, when are you going to bring her back?
When did you last have her?
We had her in for our last big performance in summer of '23.
I was out here on the.
Yes,
Yeah.
It was a Tuesday evening, and a rainstorm split around us, and it was wonderful. But yeah, there were so many people, and people who I had never seen at library programs before, and then even afterwards, people saying to me that they had been there. So it was received extremely well.
Well, I would guess if she's been so well received and her prices keep going up, we should go for this year.
Yeah.
I
Before
mean,
it goes high.
really, and just see how it goes. And I mean, not that we can't ever have her again, but I mean, we have the money to bring her in. So,
And I mean, with her costumes that she wears, that really fits in with the theme of Color Your World too this year. So,
Sure.
I mean, it's not all is programs will be art focused, but I mean, they'll be colorful or
Definitely.
I mean, so.
And, the term color can also be looked at in different ways, respecting other cultures and people of color.
And then some of Jean's categories, supplies, a little higher than last year because of increased costs. Prize books, again, as Jean said, kind of ran out or emptied the pile of books that we had last year, so replenishing them. So that's 100 or 200 higher than last year. Art supplies is about the same or a little $100 more. This mural is, and I'll let Jean talk about that. That's kind of a one-time expense this year that hasn't. I mean, so that's one of the things that makes Jean's request this year higher than last year, and I'll let her talk about that.
Right, and this is, I don't know if any of you know Stan Sherwood, but he's done the murals over at L.B. Williams, and I believe at other schools as well. And one of his hallmarks is that he does the basic outlines and, the concepts, but then he allows children to help paint as well. And I think that's, wonderful whenever kids can be part of it. That's something that in years to come, they will remember. And if they're still in the community as an adult, they can show their own kids. But Stan and I have talked back and forth, I would say for, 3, 4, 5 years, just kind of throwing the idea around. And I remember I think it was at the end of last year, he stopped in, it was for another activity. His kids are very active. And, just took a look at, we have a kind of a brick and putty color scheme in the library. And, anything we can do to add color would be fantastic. And along the north wall, we have a bright red magnet board, and then it's surrounded by these dull maroon books. And dull maroon bricks. And around that, he took some pictures and had some ideas. I confess I haven't talked with him recently, but he quoted me a very general price of $500 the last time we talked. But I also know that supplies, can often add up as well. But, it's one of those things that really fits in well with this year's theme. Again, it's probably a want more than a need, but I think that it's something that would continue to bring in kids and help them feel a part of the children's area.
I think that's neat that he would allow the kids to somehow participate in that.
And then the remainder of Gene's funding request prizes, again, Jeff buys prizes from Oriental Trading Company that children get to select from, and the children who go the extra mile, who read lots, get some $15 in Mitchell gift cards, and then, oh no. We don't have a quorum.
Do we lose them?
Good, absolutely.
Somehow we lost you. Somehow my computer lost its connection to the Zoom. Sorry. What did you hear from us last?
It was broken.
Well, just I was talking about then the remainder of Gene's funding request for summer reading is for prizes and volunteer gifts. So the total request there is $8,950 for summer reading program for children. So any questions on all of the
So does that $8,950 include having I'm trying to get to scroll. Include having the program from, I'm trying to remember what her name is.
Yes, the hoop
Is
dance.
that included in that?
Yes, it is included.
Good. Good. And are we assuming that at 1,300 or are we assuming that at, or do we not really know?
Okay. At this point, it really depends upon what date we're able to set. And also depends on whether or not we want to include a morning workshop or just the evening. If we include just if we do just the evening, I know I can get it for around 800 or so, and that would fit into the budget that I've proposed. Since our prices have increased, if we do want to do the morning, again, depending on if we're near another one of her performances, it could end up being 500 more. But I can pencil that out when we set the date.
But the
Do you ever look for sponsors for programs like that?
For something like this, we could certainly attempt that. I've never reached out in the past for that, but that would be something that I'd be willing to do.
Yeah, I feel like that, $500, it's not nothing, but it's certainly something that I think there are groups that would, readily be willing to support something like that. And what I'm sitting here thinking is, man, it's a shame to bring someone here and then have her for a program in the evening that's an $800 program, but not keep her for the day when we could have her for the whole day for $1,300 and really let her benefit a lot more people that way.
Right. I agree, and I think too, when there are more people and more organizations involved in bringing her in, it can help with continued outreach, both in terms of our print and digital publicity, as well as bringing in more people. Susan, just offhand, what organizations come to mind as far as that I might approach, or maybe you want to talk with me personally about it sometime?
Yeah, I'm going to need to give it a little bit of thought, but I'm just, sorry. I'm under the weather today, so.
Yeah, you don't sound
But I'm
so
just,
good.
yeah, I had to go off and cough for a second. Let me give it some thought. I just feel like there are a lot of people who, may be willing to do that, so.
Well, and in 2022, 23, when we had the Mexican dance troupe in,
Corona Village.
the board provided like half of the funding for their fee, and then requested that we find sponsors to cover their transportation costs, which was another $500. And we found, sponsors for that. Some of the service clubs donated money, even $50, $100, and some other individuals as well. So I
I know-
think, Susan, that's doable.
Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is asking some of the service clubs to, seriously, if every service club gave $100, you'd have what you need. But anyway, I just think that there are a lot of opportunities for sponsorship for a program like that.
Yeah, and I think it definitely, I think, puts our community in a good light that together we are doing things. Together we care about
Sure.
kids. Together we care about the library.
I don't
Ford
know
does
if go ahead.
Ford does a lot of community involvement. They gave
Would you say that?
Ford,
For 90.
for 90, sorry.
I
They,
can't understand what she said either. What did she say?
She said that Vernity Ford does a lot of community involvement donations.
from Christmas presents to taking kids places, I think that would be a really key one to,
And I don't know if Prehistoric Indian Village, has funding for anything like that, but, they may be a partner too, because it would potentially benefit them.
That's a great idea to at
You
least
know-
give them the opportunity
Yeah.
to join into that. That's right up their alley as well, you're right.
Or maybe they would even,
Have an event.
want to have one of the performances there, and they would cover that extra performance fee then, or maybe we want to, be selfish and have all of the performances, closer to the library.
But that's not a bad idea. I'm just thinking out loud here. For the last couple of years, we have had one of our programs at Prehistoric Indian Village, and they've been wonderful. This year, they've reached out to us again saying, yeah, can you come? But after a while, I'm wondering what's new for our kids and our families. And so one idea would be to have that morning workshop instead of at the Corn Palace Plaza, just to ask them if they'd be interested in having the workshop, a morning workshop at their place. And basically the workshop is where she basically teaches the kids how to do the different hoop dances. And she has a lot of fun with them. What I will need to ask her is what her limit is on how many kids can be part of that workshop, because
there's a new director, Christian New.
Yeah.
I think Cindy's
So
gone.
he's pretty good. So, but yeah, so that might be, I will definitely look into that. I'll see what they say at Prehistoric Indian Village, and I'll also get a read on, from Star Chief Eagle to see what kind of attendance she's comfortable with a workshop.
So I guess, I think if anybody, then if you're all in favor of this, but wants to make a motion that, we would be looking, include in the motion that we would seek up to $500 or seek $500 in sponsorships to help cover some of the programming, Star Chief Eagle programming. That would maybe be good to be included in the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the funding request with the hope to include a sponsor
And
for,
that would be for the additional $500 for a morning workshop?
yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nope, that's good.
Okay, so that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
Was that Susan?
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, that
Thank you.
passes. Okay, so that was our business item. Are there any committee reports?
Yes, for the Strategic Plan Committee, the committee hasn't met for a few months, but I want to update you all on what's been happening. At our last meeting in November, then we had a kind of a workshop type session where we selected then the goals that we wanted to include in the strategic plan, and I put that all together and sent that to George Seaman, State Librarian, for feedback. Didn't hear anything from him for a month because he was, I think, dealing with issues at state government. But at the end of, or right after the first of the year, he replied, thought all of the goals were fine, but encouraged me then that we need to add in specificity for each one as to, kind of giving a timeline and how we will determine if we're successful or not. And so these are the goals. I just wanted to get these goals in front of you all to show you where we are. And I've been working on adding that specificity. And we'll call the committee back together to go over that. I did hear back from one committee member, our illustrious Deb, suggesting reordering a couple of the strategies under a couple of the goals, based on kind of what we think maybe would be priority. I didn't necessarily put any of those strategies as priority, or the goals were kind of the 5 larger areas of advocacy, library space, library programming, outreach, and then we have the strategies under each. So I will go ahead and reorder the strategies based on Deb's feedback, and then also reorder the other document that I have the more specificity, and then we'll look for a date for the committee to review that and give feedback and input, and we'll also get input from the staff, and then I hope to bring this back to the March meeting for approval.
Do we need to add the timeline then? Is that the next step?
Yeah, I mean, that's in that specificity. And I've already, for most of them, I put that in. And some of it, we'll have to discuss, okay, everything can't be done all in 1 year.
Right.
And, this is kind of looking at a 2025 to 2028. And if we don't get it approved until March, so kind of mid-2025 to mid to end 2028. So, some things won't, we wouldn't expect to necessarily get them done until 2027, 2028. But, that will be kind of all in there. So any questions on that?
Is Zach still on this committee? It listed Zach down there, is he?
No. Zach is not,
Yeah,
when he left. So,
because he's still on the list down there.
oh, did I not? Oh, I need to update that then. Sorry. Thank you for catching that. I will, well, I listed Max, I listed Zach there because Zach was on the committee, for a part of it. And then Rachel, I had asked Rachel if she would, but I will also, once I finish up with all the specificity, then I'll also be having the staff, all of the staff members,
Okay.
give feedback too of, because I need to have their input as to, okay, does this make sense that we could accomplish this and this and this in 2025? Or we can only accomplish that in 2025 or 2026, so.
All right, any other questions for Kevin on the committee? Or Deb? All right, no action?
Nope.
Okay, thank you for that, Kevin. Any board input? All right. I don't see any citizens here for input. No? Okay. Next meeting, looks like Kevin penciled in March 18th.
March
That's-
18th, 5:15 here?
I will be gone, but hopefully you'll have enough. 18th.
18th at 5:15. That's a Tuesday, third Tuesday of March.
Okay.
And for training, I guess I would like to request that we don't have a training session in February because, this next month, they'll probably need to focus on supporting the state library and, advocacy. And so if you want to do any training, train yourself to be an advocate for the state library and contact your legislators.
Any feel for how that's going to end up?
No. I did listen to our new governor's speech today, and something that he said in there was, it seemed like he expressed a willingness to consider restoring some funding cuts. He didn't specify, but, so that was helpful in working with,
Just
people.
some funding cuts in general or library?
He didn't.
Just in general?
He didn't, in general.
Okay.
But at least I was hopeful that he would be supportive of the state library and returning it to fuller funding.
Sure. All right. Hey. Oh, is there still, Jean, you need something?
I was just say, Kevin, just for the record and maybe having it so that the board members are aware, how do these cuts affect us here in Mitchell? If you could just say a little bit about that.
As a larger library, it won't affect us as much in terms of services that we look to the state library for training,
Yes.
but smaller libraries with, maybe, not a master's prepared library director, they look to them almost on a daily or weekly basis for help and suggestions. But it certainly will affect our interlibrary loan and resource sharing.
I would say the access to the databases, is that
And-
part of it?
Yeah. So, the state library pays for the courier service that then couriers books between libraries. So that saves us greatly on postage costs. And they also pay for a software, an interlibrary loan software, so that all of the smaller libraries and large libraries can communicate and send requests back and forth. The databases would be our biggest hit. And we just last week got an email sent from the state library to all libraries that the database vendors put together pricing of what it would cost. And kind of our biggest database, collection of databases from EBSCO, it was like $89,000 was the price that for Mitchell to subscribe to all of those databases. And Susan, I don't think the city council would be able to come up with $89,000 extra to give to the library. So, and then other databases, that they pay for too. So we would not have nearly the resources available for our residents, local residents, as what we have because of the state library.
And then training affects me directly. I learned so much from the Jump Start that occurs every spring that helps with ideas for summer reading program, allows me to work with other libraries, often to cut costs. And I just can't say enough about the support that I receive from the woman who's in charge of youth services at the state level. So I don't I lean on her quite a bit too.
So those would be, some of the biggest ones. One of the things that I thought of almost initially, when we heard of the cuts was how is this going to affect South Dakota Titles to go, overdrive, because the state library coordinates that statewide consortium. I think it sounds like, we still can have a statewide consortium, but there'll probably be more lifting that a committee of, folks from different libraries will have to do to keep things going. And the state library would still, because it would be a reduced staff, but I don't know, if they'd be able to, sign the contracts for a statewide consortium like that or not. But talk among librarians is that Overdrive and the Libby app would still continue for us. So, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments or?
I just have one, I just needed a point of clarification because does our meeting start at 5:15 or 5:45? Is it 5:15?
5:15.
Yeah, so I'm on the Mitchell Area Charitable Foundation and they meet like quarterly. And that day, I just want you to know that it starts at 4 o'clock, but it's usually at least an hour and a half. So I will be late just for the record, but I'll get there as fast as I can.
Okay. Thank you. Feel better.
Thanks. It's my first time with COVID.
Wow.
I know.
That's impressive.
Stayed strong for so long.
All right, there being no other agenda items or comments from the board, we are adjourned.
6:15.
Thanks.
Thank you all. Bye now.